We interrupt this transition by Kerry and Boyko. Read by the author. Chapter 1. The Throwaway Pitch. They say that bad ideas make good stories. This story starts with a really bad idea. "I'm telling you, Sam," Jimmy said, "your pitch is solid. Don't let the rejection so far get you down. You've been pitching to networks, and networks don't want to take a chance on a newer showrunner. Garden Alpha isn't run by network people. They're tech people who think they're network people." Jimmy Howard, not his real name, but it had been over 20 years since anyone had called him anything else, leaned back on his patio furniture. He drank his non-alcoholic beer and relaxed in the chill autumn air. It was hitting what the industry termed golden hour, that remarkable time about an hour before sunset where everything gets a little golden glow around it. Moving to Santa Monica once he had made his first bankable hit was one of the best decisions he ever made. Renting out his guest house to Sam was another. Sam, short for Antha, Culver, the British 35-year-old young professional, on the other hand, wasn't enjoying it quite so much, pacing nervously back and forth as she shooed another insect off her arm. "Look, maybe I should change up the pitch, just in case. What do you think?" "I've heard your pitch, Sam. It's solid. And you know I'm not the type to blow smoke up your ass just because I'm your friend. In fact, I save my smoke blowing for the asses of people usually called the vice president of something. This still looks good for 45-year-old Jimmy took another swig. "Maybe that's your problem. Not enough smoke-ass blowing." Sam shot Jimmy a look. She hated the way that LA did business. How America did business. Especially if you happen to be a single professional woman who absolutely did not want to become a star the easy way. "Maybe I should try a smaller market. Back to England, maybe?" "You've done England. They offer short contracts and small budgets for an audience of dozens. And the weather sucks. You know this is the next natural step, right?" Sam grabbed a bottle of water from the ice bucket they had brought out with them. She was inclined to disagree. The repeated frustration of rejection after rejection, while others in the industry with less experience, less connection, less vision, and yes, less knack for delivering projects under budget that produce profit, filled her with self-doubt. Imposter syndrome, they called it. But that's why she came over to talk to Jimmy tonight, as she had done most nights, despite the cloyingly lovely weather that was just unsuited to a British temperament. Too mild, too lovely. Los Angeles had a saccharine sunset, she bemused. Because no one had given her better career advice over the years than Jimmy, and if the semi-retired mind behind some of the most successful and stupid American television shows of the 2000s and 2010s was objectively saying she had a hit on her hands, she was inclined to believe it. "Maybe," she said. "Maybe I'm just approaching the pitch the wrong way." "It's possible. What happens in these meetings?" "Well, I come in, introduce myself, schmooze, yada yada. I give them the elevator pitch, if they're still interested, which they always are. I give them a fuller rundown, how I expect the first series to go, how I plan to keep the premise fresh in a future series, cost per episode breakdown, market research, a bunch of pretty green numbers that look good, and they congratulate me on a great pitch, say they'll be hearing from me, and then I never get a ring back. It's infuriating." Said Jimmy, deep in thought. "Okay, sounds normal. What's your throwaway, though?" Sam blinked. "Throwaway what?" Jimmy balked. "You're kidding, Sam." "No, I don't think so. Is that an American thing?" "Maybe. What's the throwaway elevator pitch? The bad one. The one you don't care about." "Why would I pitch them a bad idea?" "To make the good one sound better in comparison." "Wouldn't they see right through that?" Jimmy sighed. "They're executives. They're dumb, with big egos. Think of it this way. You come in, you give them a good pitch, but they don't know a good pitch from a bad one. So they gotta trust their judgment, which isn't that great to begin with. They have to make their decision about whether your show is going to make money, whether it fits with the brand. They have to consider all that. Except, what do they have to compare it to? What's in their mind when they weigh it out? All they have to compare it to are the shows that they've already approved, the shows that are airing, because they forget the pitches that they pass on. Jimmy pointed with his bottle at Sam for emphasis. That's who you have to compete against. And every time you put up a known actual success against an untested idea, the untested idea looks bad. That's why you give them the throwaway. So you're telling me that my best chance of actually getting an American show on the air is to come up with a real guaranteed dud? Think about it. You've led with the stinker. The exec doesn't like it, and he says no to it. He cuts you short, asks you what else you've got. Look at where the exec is now in his little exec brain. He just told you no, and since he said no to an obviously bad idea, he's feeling better about himself and his judgment. Then, when he hears your good idea, what's he comparing it to? Why, the most recent idea he's heard. Your throwaway idea. And it sounds so much better. So he thinks it must be good. And since he already trusts his judgment, he's more likely to say yes. That sounds incredibly stupid. It's an incredibly stupid industry. Sam thought about that for a bit and realized Jimmy had a point. Well, I don't have a throwaway idea, and I don't know if I can come up with a good bad idea by the pitch tomorrow. Jimmy sighed again. Look, it's easy. Just take what's hot right now and imagine what the most soulless, cynical person would think the natural way to make a quick buck on it would be. Sam shrugged and then continued pacing back and forth, sipping water and thinking. Trans stuff is big right now, she finally suggested. Maybe something like that, posed Sam? Gotta be careful. You don't want it to appear to be a cynical money grab. But you just said it would be a cynical money grab. But you don't want it to appear to be. Look, you're on the right track. Maybe a show about trans people, sure. I mean, the distributors might even be looking for something like that. The LGBT demo has disposable incomes because they don't usually have kids. On the other side of the coin, the right-wing loonies would tune in just so that they have something to hate for 42 minutes plus commercials. And the rest? Well, people still watch RuPaul's Drag Race with morbid curiosity. Heh. What if we did Drag Race, but with actual gender transitioning instead of just dressing up as a performance? Jimmy choked a little on his beer when she said that, but he came out of it with a smile. After 3 years of working closely with Jimmy, Sam knew that was a very good sign. Make a game show out of gender transitioning? Sam started to grin and giggled at something. No. More stupid than that. More stupid than that? Much more stupid. What if it was a reality show? Like a competition reality show? Sam, that is an incredibly bad taste. Jimmy grinned and sipped his beer. I already love it. Sam settled down onto one of the patio chairs, facing Jimmy, leaning forward. She was actually getting into the awfulness of the idea and having fun with it. We can make it like The Biggest Loser or Big Brother. Oh, I know. We send them away to a desert island, compete for $1 million, but to get the million, they have to go all the way. What? Force them to transition or they get eliminated? That kind of sounds like fetish erotica, said Jimmy. Sam raised an eyebrow. What kind of fetish erotica are you reading, Jimmy? Jimmy shook his head. I mean, I do research and look for ideas in a lot of places. It's not... you have to look somewhere outside the mainstream for the ideas that are about to become mainstream. Uh-huh. Jimmy hurriedly shifted the subject back to the throwaway pitch. So, anyway, what are you thinking? Would someone get voted off each week if they're not feminine enough? That wouldn't work, I don't think. Nah, I'm thinking like Hands on a Honda kind of thing. Contestants eliminate themselves when they decide to drop out. Last one standing takes the money. Or if more than one person makes it all the way through, they split the money. Jimmy was really enjoying seeing Sam's mind work on this absurd idea. I can already see the tagline. Would you change your gender for $1 million? And of course, most wouldn't, she said. I don't know. I mean, for $1 million, even I'd consider it, said Jimmy. You'd be surprised what people would do for money. Ha! But seriously, we could say it's really a test of their masculinity, to see how they handle the hormones and the dresses and everything. At any time, they could walk away, but then they can't win the prize money, and they have to look in the camera and say, I just wasn't mad enough to be a real woman. Jimmy sucked air through his teeth. Oh, yeah, that's horrible. Ooh, I just had a thought. Maybe you throw one secret trans woman into the mix without telling them. They wouldn't be eligible for the prize, but they wouldn't know that. That's so wrong, said Sam. But I doubt we'll even get into that level of detail. The premise alone is cringeworthy enough. Jesus, Sam, I almost want to come with you in order to see their faces when you pitch this. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure I'll just say the word trans and they'll move on to my real pitch faster than you can say gender. You know, I wonder if it could actually be done. If someone actually could just change genders if they were paid enough, said Jimmy. Sam shrugged. Well, it's a moot point. No one would be crazy enough to greenlight something like that. And so, with Jimmy's help, Sam had one hell of a bad idea. An idea that was an insult to taste, decency, and intelligence. Perfect for the television industry. The office building for Garden Alpha was a bit smaller than Sam expected it to be. Usually dealing with networks, they were located in large office buildings meant to deal with every aspect of the business. Garden Alpha's programming department, she had to remind herself, was just a small subdivision of a small division of a global technology company. Most of the people involved in actual delivery of product didn't come to office spaces, working from different parts of the country, often more affordable than Southern California. What was left was a handful of meeting rooms and some offices. But plush offices they were. Walking past the front desk, she was surprised to find that much of the space was taken up by beanbag chairs, semi-private booths, and hammocks. It was as if a cubicle farm in a rumpus room had a baby. Sam Culver, said someone. She looked around to find a tall, broad-shouldered woman dressed in blue jeans and a t-shirt with a striped light blue and white short-sleeved button-up tunic over it, with flat sandals. A far cry from the white blouse, charcoal jacket, and matching pencil skirt that Sam usually wore on business meetings. She looked young, and her casual flat sandals showed off toenails painted in rainbow colors. Yes, I'm Sam Culver. Are you Miss Bryant's assistant? The younger woman laughed. I do give off that vibe, don't I? No, I'm Daria Bryant. We spoke on the phone earlier? Sam did her best to hide the mild shock. Sorry, I was just expecting someone more executive. Yeah. Well, the corporate culture at Garden is very much wear what you want. Just get the job done. I find it's more comfortable, especially if I'm going to be in meetings all day. We're going to pass by the lunchroom on the way to the office. Would you like some coffee, tea, water? Tea would be great. I apologize. Our selection might be less than what you're used to in England. We mainly just get the Twinings variety packs. They're in that drawer. I'll just boil the kettle in the meantime. Sam looked in the drawer, and surprisingly, there were an insane number of varieties. Darjeeling, Earl Grey, Ceylon, British breakfast, English afternoon, Irish breakfast, matcha teas, even teas she'd never heard of, such as Lady Grey, Christmas tea, Prince of Wales. Truly an outstanding variety, and that was before getting into the herbal teas. Samantha didn't let on that most British companies simply stocked their larders with a handful of PG tips and said, "That'll be good enough for the office drones." She just simply picked up an Irish breakfast and handed it to the outstretched arm of the programming executive who dressed like a soccer mom. Soon afterwards, Miss Bryant, "Oh no, please call me Daria," and Sam, "Do you prefer Sam or Samantha?" "Either is fine," headed together to one of the offices. It, too, was not what Sam expected. Most of the offices she had made pitches in had the executives sitting in a slightly raised, comfortable chair behind a large desk in the middle of the room, while the guest was seated in a small, inflexible wooden chair. The idea was to immediately convey status. It was the same reason every late-night talk show host has a seat that is slightly elevated. Daria's office was different. For one, the desk faced the wall and had multiple monitors on it, along with a little flag that Sam couldn't recognize. Pink, blue, and white stripes. She couldn't place the country. If she had to guess, she would have offered Belize. Here, there were no wooden chairs, only a side chair and a couch. It actually reminded Sam of a therapy session. So, Sam, we were told that you had prepared a pitch for us to add to the Alpha. Something that would work well as a first run on streaming and then maybe work in syndication on terrestrial or cable? Yes, I had two, actually. Go on, hit me with your first one. Sam led with the stinker. Well, the first one is a reality competition show. It's called, and this is a working title, mind, Gender Island. A blank stare. Sam continued. The idea is that we take, say, 8 or so men who are toxically masculine and have massive egos that need to be taken down a peg. The kind of people who would be villains on a normal reality show, right? More blank staring. Right, so, Sam continued, we set them up on an island or a Big Brother type house, and then we tell them that they can quit any time, but everyone who makes it all the way through transition gets an equal share of $1 million. Transition? Yes. Gender transition. Into women. Oh. Daria had a look on her face that Sam registered as surprise, but under that she wasn't sure whether it was revulsion, shock, or morbid curiosity. So, wait, are you talking about trans women contestants? Asked Daria. Cisgender men. Oh, that seems... Wow. Wow. Daria stopped, deep in thought. Is there an elimination format? Well, no. It seemed to me that would be problematic. Heaven forbid, said Daria. Sam continued. Instead, they can leave the show at any time, take what money they've already won, and stop the treatment. But if they do so, they have to look at the camera and say, I'm just not man enough to be a woman. Daria Bryant sipped her coffee and thought deeply, raising an eyebrow at Sam. Well, let's put that on the back burner for now, said Daria, finally. What's your other idea? Saboteur. It's a trivia-based game show with a social deduction element, like The Mole or The Hustler, but easier to consume, easily broken up into 10-minute clips for GardenTube. It all comes down to the details, but I think I would like it. Who were you thinking of as host? I suppose I'd have to see who's available and who we can afford, but I have a personal connection to Jimmy Howard. Oh, yeah, he's great, said Daria. I loved him on Shark Attack, and he's still a big name. He'd be perfect for something like that. Jimmy was still in his bathrobe, making coffee in his single-serving coffee maker, when Sam started tapping at the back window leading to the patio. She was grinning from ear to ear. Jimmy, on the other hand, was still bleary-eyed, as he usually was in the mornings. Sam? I got a call back, Jimmy, she said through the doors. That's great. Can't it wait until later? It's already 10:30. Jimmy looked at the microwave to check the time. It flashed 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock in rapid succession, and then Jimmy felt foolish. I'll take your word for it, said Jim. Come on in. Coffee? Sure, Sam said, heading through the doors. Garden Alpha. I got a call back. They want me to come by later today to re-pitch to the decision makers. That's great, Sam. Do you want to come with me? I sort of floated your name for the host. I could call back and tell them you're so interested you wanted to be there. Jimmy thought for a moment. Maybe. What time? 3. Plenty of time to get one of your famous Botany 500 suits on and get ready. Yeah, I could do it. This is great, Sam. You deserve this. Whoa. I haven't signed any paperwork yet. Don't jinx it. You'll be fine, Sam. If anything, you're overdue. Sabotage is a great format. On Sam's second visit to Garden Alpha, Daria met her and Jimmy at the door. Hello again, Daria. Sam, so good to see you again. And Jimmy, glad to meet you. Pleasure's all mine, said Jimmy. So, how'd you two meet? Asked Daria. About 3.5 years ago, Sam was part of the team that was trying to make an American version of The Martinet. I wasn't her first choice for host. Too nice. But the network overruled her, said Jimmy. But that was the thing. He is nice. I wanted to continue working in the U.S. on bringing a show to air, and we really gelled working together on the Martinet USA. Since then, we've been in close contact, working together on projects, said Sam. Well, that's because you're brilliant, said Jimmy. You're no dummy yourself, said Sam. Anyway, will I need to be pitching from scratch, or have you given the decision makers the brief I gave you? I shared all the information you gave to me and talked it up as best I could. Just FYI, you'll be pitching to our VP of Programming, Daryl Marsters, who will be making the final decision, and Chandra Harrelson, our division's VP of Marketing. But they're almost as excited as I am about it. Jimmy and Sam smiled. That's wonderful to hear, Sam said. This time, Jimmy and Sam were brought not to an office, but to a conference room. Daryl Marsters was dressed in blue jeans, a bowling shirt, and a sports coat. You know, the default look of the middle-aged middle manager who wanted to look both professional and relaxed and failed at doing either. Chandra Harrelson, a young black professional, dressed more formally. Pleasantries were exchanged, and then Sam brought up her slide deck on the conference room monitor. So, I'm proposing 20 episodes filmed over 4 days with a runtime of 22 minutes each. Budget, ignoring prizes and talent costs, are estimated to be at $170,000 on the low end, with a cap of $200,000 if we have to do the production ourselves. But we can probably get that down to $130K if you have sunk expenses that we can use. Chandra interrupted. I'm sorry, filmed over 4 days? Sam blinked. Yes. With a fifth for any reshoots we might need, or if there's some sort of delay, pretty standard? Sam saw 3 executives with confused looks, and that was a bad thing. She looked over to Jimmy for help. Jimmy just shrugged uselessly and tried to cover it. Yeah, typically game shows are filmed 5 per day, back to back. Almost all the editing happens in the control room. I mean, they're long days, but back when I hosted Shark Attack, that was a pretty standard schedule. We filmed only 3 episodes per day with rotten eggs, but that's just because we were working with children contestants. Daryl looked to his laptop and back to Sam and Jimmy. I think there may have been a mix-up. Daria told me that you had an idea for a really out-there reality show. I mean, she said you also pitched a game show, but we were looking for something with a bit more, originality. Ah, said Sam, whose blood drained from her face as much as the blood rushed to Daria's in embarrassment. I'm sorry, said Daria. This must be my fault. I made the assumption that you knew we were talking about your other pitch. Gender Island? Do you have a slide deck ready for that one? Sam's mind was racing in panic because, no, she fucking obviously didn't, and also because, what the fuck was happening right now? I'm sorry, I don't believe I have it with me now. Well, that's all right, said Chandra. We can just shoot from the hip. Worry about the hard numbers and projections later. Tell us more about your core idea. It's brilliant. The gender idea. The idea to have a reality competition show. The reality competition show that gives hormone replacement therapy to people who don't need it. That idea. She racked her brain for a moment and then came up with an idea so clever, so brilliant, that it couldn't possibly fail. I need to pee. As far as foolproof plans go, it was easily defeated when her peaceful bathroom respite lasted all of 15 seconds before Daria came in behind her. Sam, Daria asked, Is everything all right? Daria, be honest. Sam took a deep breath. Is this some kind of joke? Some hazing ritual? What? No. Daria, that wasn't supposed to be... You weren't supposed to... Sam grabbed a towel from the machine and tore it to little bits in frustration. If I did that every time I got frustrated, this place would be covered in confetti, Daria said. So I'm guessing that you were pitching sabotage in there. Yes, Daria! Bloody well, yes! I mean, I guess it wasn't a bad idea, but I thought you were using that as your throwaway pitch. Sam glared at Daria, then realized that she had no one to blame for this mess except for herself, which brought down her mood. Then she thought of blaming Jimmy for giving her the idea to have a throwaway pitch, and depression gave way to indignation. No. Gender Island was the throwaway pitch. You're kidding. No, God, who'd want to step in that landmine? I mean, a reality show which would be hated by everybody? Trans people would see it as us cashing a check at their expense. Right-wingers would use it as evidence that Hollywood is trying to estrogenize men and make them weak. And what the hell do I know about transgender people who, by the way, are a marginalized community currently one election away from the real possibility of losing everything they worked so hard for? I mean, I don't even know any trans women. Daria giggled. I find that very hard to believe. No, it's true. Well, you know at least one, right? What are you talking about? Daria blinked. Sam, did you not see the trans pride flag on my desk? Did you not notice that my hands are fucking massive? In fact, that's why I thought you were pitching the... Sam stopped mid-sentence. Wait, you were pitching Gender Island to someone you thought was cisgender? Sam finally did look at Daria's hands. They were indeed larger than average, but she didn't notice anything until Daria pointed it out to her. Oh, this just gets better. Sam hung her head over the sink. Not only did I flub my pitch, I also insulted you. That's it. I'm never going to work in Hollywood now. I'll probably never work in England either once word gets out. Well, yeah, with that attitude, Daria said. But I don't see it that way. I think you stumbled into something I've been looking for a long time. In the meantime, Jimmy sat down with Chandra and Daryl and was currently doing one of the skills he had honed over his 20 years working in the entertainment industry. He was blowing smoke up their asses like a chimney designed specifically to blow smoke up asses. Well, when Sam came up with the idea, I started bombarding her with questions. How would the prize structure go? How far will we take it? How many contestants? Don't get me wrong, I thought it was silly at first, but after a while, she talked me into how brilliant it was. The same thing happened with Daria. We initially thought it was some sort of joke, but Daria, she had all these ideas for promotion, product placement, merchandising, and of course, it's a water cooler show. She really sold us on it, said Dylan. I mean, game shows are great if you have access to the public airwaves and you need to fill time with something cheap and fast, continued Chandra, but we're a streaming service, and what we need is exclusive, original content. Stuff that makes you say, I gotta sign up for Garden Alpha because they have the show I gotta see. Yes, I would say this is fairly original as an idea, said Jimmy. You're not worried about possibly facing a backlash from... Chandra laughed. Are you kidding? We'd love a backlash. Backlashes mean people know about us, that they're engaged. The more people who protest it without knowing anything about it, the more people are going to say, well, I gotta check it out. And that's really all we need. I mean, it'd be great if we could make this an ongoing hit, but we just need enough people to say, I'm gonna sign up for Garden Alpha's free trial just to see this thing. Then, of course, the free trial lapses into paid subscriptions because people just don't cancel, and if they happen to like our other programming more, so be it. Jimmy nodded in a practiced gesture of solidarity and understanding. I'm beginning to see why you really like this idea. I've worked with a lot of people in this industry, and that's why I like working with the upcoming services from the tech side. You guys have vision. Jimmy smiled as he sent the ass smoker machine cranking into overdrive. He liked semi-retirement, but there was a part of him that missed this. So, you're trans? Yes. And you're not offended? I was for about 3 seconds, and then I thought about it. Did you have Will and Grace in England when you were growing up? Sure. I mean, in syndication, sure, but it was on ITV all the time. We got a lot of American sitcoms. I remember being a kid and remembering what a big deal it was for anything gay on television. Paul Lynde could be campy as hell on Hollywood Squares, and everybody knew he was gay. It was the world's worst-kept secret square. But he couldn't say the word gay, or they'd take one of those X's and crucify him on it. I mean... And then Will and Grace coming out in the late 1990s. The whole pitch of that show was that Will was gay. It was a bog-standard, 3-camera, Desilu-style sitcom that people tuned into just to gawk at the gay guy. And after a while, they stopped gawking and just saw it as normal, Daria continued. What does that have to do with my throwaway pitch? Television shapes culture, and culture shapes television. So when you come to me with an idea that can treat transitioning as a subject worthy of the tube, of course people will hate it. Chandra and Dylan are hoping that they'll hate it to the bank, but that's not why I pushed for it. Daria leaned up against the sinks and thought about what to say next. So many people have no idea what trans people are, or have to do, or why we do what we do. I want to show people what transitioning really looks like. I want them to understand that being trans is innate. It's not some stupid social contagion or mental illness. It's physical. It's a physical condition, and the treatment is transitioning. I think your show would be a good way to show that trans people need to be trans and need to transition, and that cis people need to be cis and can't. And maybe when they see cis people having to deal with gender dysphoria, they'll understand what trans people have to go through. Then why don't you commission a sitcom with the trans main character? Sam asked. I will, but we're not there yet. We need to prime the pump. Reality TV, can you help get a foot in the door? How so? You've seen The Amazing Race, right? 36 seasons. But did you ever see season 1? I can't say I have. Daria lit up with passion. They cast a gay couple as one of the contestant pairs. And in 2001, gay people in love? That wasn't considered normal. It was considered a gimmick. They were practically telling people, look at the sideshow freaks. And then the people watching stopped seeing them as freaks and saw them as people. And you want to... I want people to think we're creating a freak show. And after they're hooked, we reveal the curtain to show them that it's not a freak show at all, but just people. Alright, but shouldn't you get someone trans to be a showrunner? I'd love to hire a trans showrunner, but the only out trans showrunners in Hollywood are the Wachowski sisters. They don't do television all that much. They certainly don't do reality television, and I can't afford them anyway. You're serious? You want to commission Gender Island, Sam said. I get it. You didn't expect this to go this way, and I guess if you're not comfortable with actually doing Gender Island, I'll find something else, eventually. But I was really hoping I'd get a chance to work with you on this. I mean, I invited you to pitch because I've seen your work from the UK. Given the budget you had to work with, it was amazing. I kind of want to see what you could do with real money and talent. And come on, aren't you the least bit curious? Curious of what? Of how it would turn out in the end. The boys. Will they stick it out for the money? Will they crack under pressure? Will any of them get dysphoria? Are any of them eggs? Eggs? Eggs. Sorry, trans women who don't know they're women or won't admit to themselves that they're women. I'd explain the metaphor, but... Okay, well, I didn't have a slide deck prepared, so obviously I shouldn't expect you to have one either. Daria rolled her eyes. But what do I tell your associates? Sam asked. We'll say that you're not feeling well, and we'll book another meeting. You do that? Why not? We women have to stick together in this industry. On that, Sam agreed. Sam and Daria have been in there a long time, Dylan mused. So, Jimmy, would you mind if we just started? Do you think you can answer questions? Well, it's really Sam's project, but I'll try to answer what I can. Obviously, this would need time to set up. How long do you think pre-production would take? Oh, I don't know. Maybe 6 months? And I really hate to ask this, Jimmy, but I don't think the host should be a man, said Chandra. I think we should get a trans woman to host it. Maybe a Laverne Cox type? Ooh, interrupted Daryl. She'd be perfect. She'd never do it, though. But yeah, someone like that. Still, Jimmy, it's clear you're passionate about the project, and most importantly, your name. Do you think you would take on a co-producer role, maybe even a director role? Well, gee, said Jimmy. I did always want to direct.